response to an article, an opinion piece in, it's called the Tyee. It's a Canadian publication. I'm sure many of you might be familiar with it. Anyways, the title of the piece is Libertarian, ? You belong on the left. Watch out, freedom lovers. Conservatives will build the biggest police state they can. I'm just going to read from this article for a bit and respond appropriately. A few dozen freedom-loving libertarians expressed their principled, in quotations, opposition to Prime Minister Stephen Harper's Anti-Terrorism Act this week, which would be Bill C-51. As the Senate's final vote on Bill C-51 is delayed to Tuesday, until Tuesday, it should say. Anyways, many are sounding off on Harper's fractured right-wing base. Historically, libertarians have found themselves lumped in with the far right, presumably because the far right says it doesn't like big government, and neither do libertarians. Hey, libertarians just want to do their own thing and be left alone. Isn't that what the right wings want too? Not exactly. The basic premise of libertarianism is that adults should be free to act as they choose, as long as they harm no one else, believe what they please, say what they think, work where they like, live where they can afford to, sleep with any consenting adults they choose, eat, drink, inhale, and inject themselves with any substance they enjoy. A society so organized, libertarians argue, needs low taxes and a minimal state, just as the conservatives argue. But if they question a single tenet of conservative ideology, libertarians find themselves suddenly dealing with authoritarians who class them with child pornographers and terrorists. Low taxes, they cut your taxes and run up your debt. Small government, conservatives will build the biggest police state they can get away with. The better to kettle any taxpayers who have second thoughts about conservative policies. Now, I'm going to stop here and let this person, actually let me go back up and use there is a person, an author of this. It's Crawford Killian. Crawford Killian, I'm going to offer you not just a rebuttal to some of your premises, but I'm going to help better explain to you what libertarians are. And you need to understand the difference between political libertarians and genuine libertarians. Now, the people that you are responding to, these small limited government, blah blah blah, the people that you're all this stuff that you're espousing, I mean, genuine staunch libertarians believe in all the stuff with the, adults should be able to do as they please as long as their actions don't inflict harm or cause pain or financial hardships or whatever on other people, right? So yes, of course, even genuine libertarians believe that, but you're conflating this thing with low tax and stuff. The people you're really referring to, and you really should, if you're smart and if you want to truly put your points across where they're not going to be misconstrued and just swiped away by people like myself and say, it's just another left-leaning rag that's just railing against bullshit. But if you want to just put your premises forward, articulate the fact that you're talking about political libertarians, the ones that's minimalist, the ones that believe in the political process, the ones that have not genuinely embraced the true philosophy of liberty. These people, I mean, they're, some people say 95% there, 90, depends on, it's all subjective depending on the person you're talking to, of course. But no, political libertarians are not genuine libertarians, okay? They still believe in the mysticism of central planning and government, right? So I want to preface anything else that I'm going to say with the fact that this whole article that you wrote, it's toward political libertarians. Genuine libertarians, the ones that understand the true philosophy and principles espoused in the philosophy of liberty, are not right or left. There's no such thing as right or left when it comes to understand the philosophy of liberty. Same with math or, like science, geology. There's no left leaning. It's either true and factual or it's not. It can either be looked at objectively and proven consistently, or it can't. the libertarians that you're railing against, the ones that still believe in the religion of statism, the ones that still subscribe to the religion of statism, yes, they're trying to say that if they come to power, they can limit the powers of their God. And you know what? I'm actually on your side there. I rail against the political libertarians just as much as I do against the socialists or anyone else on the left. And that's another thing I want to cover right now is when you talk about going to the left, this is Canada, and your publication is Canadian, obviously, Tyee.ca, there's no such thing as the left, the classical liberals, maybe some of the literature that you read about, that the people that used to genuinely describe themselves as liberals. A classical liberal is someone that was trying to get to the point of being a libertarian today. A real libertarian, not a political libertarian. So when you talk about left versus right, a libertarian, a genuine libertarian that understands the philosophy and knows the macro situation about liberty and how human cooperation, cohabitation, and coexistence, and how that all functions, is you're saying you guys should want your mommy, the left part of your brain, being the dominant force instead of the right part of your brain. Your daddy, you're the authoritarian, strong, blah, 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 small, limited government, da-da-da. That's what you're doing. You're trying to argue with people to get into the psychology of, use your left part of your brain, that compassionate, empathetic, blah, 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 and forget about the logically consistent or blah, 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 that right supposed side of your brain, right? Well, libertarians are saying no. A genuine libertarian says, I can take the left side of my brain and the right side of my brain and not give either side power over the other, but recognizes the positive attributes of the left side of my brain and the positive attributes of the right side of my brain, and I can merge them together and take the good of both sides and that's what libertarianism, genuine libertarianism, anarchism, genuine anarchism, anarcho-capitalism, whatever you want to call it, voluntarism, that's what we're really talking about. This left-right paradigm, and if you're still falling for it, it means you don't understand the philosophy. You're into the micro aspect of politics and economics. Genuine libertarians such as myself, we're talking about the macro, okay? Not just long-term, but looking at things from afar. Looking at the whole pictures, not just little segments. So there is no such thing as a left or right libertarian. Political libertarians, opportunists as I call them, political hacks, yeah, they still self-identify on one side or the other. Some of them call themselves ANCOMs, the communists, which obviously are from the left side of the spectrum, or the ANCAPs or whatever. Some of them are genuine small limited government right-wingers, and they do subscribe to the right. So but like I said, they're political libertarians. A genuine libertarian, people that understand the genuine philosophy of liberty, cannot identify themselves with right or left. And it'll never happen. So are you just appealing to people that are into the political process? Because if you are, then you're just another political hack, another site that just wants to turn everything, people's minds, and keep them subjected to the conforming to the religion of statism. You're saying, Catholic versus Protestant, right? Let's say the Catholics would have been your lefties and your Protestants were your righties. Well, you're just saying, well, become a Catholic and swear away from those Protestants that have failed you in the past. Libertarians are saying Catholicism and Protestants, both of them, are just two wings of the same bird, Christianity. That's the thing. You're confusing. It tells me that you genuinely don't understand the philosophy of liberty, and that's why I'm making this video. And don't take this as an insult. I'm trying to help you, educate you, enlighten you, so that maybe the next time you write an article, you'll be able to articulate it much better, and people will be able to understand what you're saying and learn much more quickly. Because as you are now, you're just confusing things. You're just muddying the waters like everyone else that deals with politics. Anyways, let me continue on here a little bit. Okay. But if they question a single tenet of conservative ideology, libertarians find themselves suddenly dealing with authoritarians who Oh, no, we already read that one. And those taxpayers have more than cops to fear, expect the conservative advocates of lower taxes to launch endless tax audits against you. Libertarians will grant government at least the power to enforce contracts and defend its citizens when force is needed. Even Ayn Rand, who took the Russian Revolution much too personally and hated violence, admitted as much. Okay, that's nothing. Ayn Rand was an objectivist. She didn't self-describe as a libertarian, and she even, like you say, she was another limited government. She wasn't far enough along in her intellectual thinking, or she just wasn't confident enough to espouse on the stage, because that's really what you're talking about. Because in her books, if you talk about it, even Gulch and stuff, there was no government. But back in the 1940s and stuff, when she was very popular, nobody was trying to talk about, getting rid of the religion of statism completely. They recognized that it would have been perilous to even try back then. But we're in 2015 now. Yeah, we've come a long way, as with every other aspects of science and human progress. We advance. We don't go backwards. While the ones that are trying to, advance humanity, not suppress them. Contracts really are a big deal. Wherever you are on the political spectrum, you agree to marry someone and to pay your share of the resulting costs. You agree to drive on the right side of the road and to pay for the use of the car you drive. You agree to buy your own lunch, not just walk into the restaurant and take it out of the kitchen. No free lunch. That's the second part of this here. The famous American libertarian science fiction author Robert Heinlein even coined an acronym, TANSSTAAFL. There ain't no such thing as a free lunch. You work for what you get, or you don't get it. If you don't work, you don't deserve it. Some libertarians, like a lot of conservatives, have failed to get Heinlein's point. They even think that they deserve a free lunch because their thoughts are so pure and their fellow Canadians are such layabouts, and they begrudge any tax that might provide some imaginable free lunch for those layabouts. Libertarians tend to glorify private enterprise, which of course depends on contracts, and private enterprises thrive by minimizing costs and maximizing profits. Every business has its costs, and that's why we have contracts. Naive libertarians, especially those raised in relatively easy circumstances, tend to take their circumstances for granted, including the upbringing they received for which they paid only in dirty diapers. Objectivist libertarians will say they didn't ask for those benefits, so they owe nothing to those who provide them, and they say they have no need and they can do their own laundry as long as mom will do it for them. If others are not doing as well, then it's their fault, and they should live with their Okay, this is just trying to use illogical fallacies. This is just trying to, pick some small segment of someone that they've seen that self-describe themselves as libertarians. But don't go by what people put forth. Look to what the philosophy of liberty is all about, and you'll realize that you're just tying into you're making the mistake of all political opportunists do, is try to paint everybody into one thing. You just gotta look at things from the philosophical aspect and stop trying to nitpick in little tiny fucking situations where you found some small, limited government libertarian that's just a political opportunist and try to paint everyone with the same broad brush. It's such a failure on anyone. And to go to all the trouble of writing an article like this, I'm not going to continue on with it. It's just basically more of the same thing. And, the people that are going to watch this video, by all means, the Tyee opinion piece from June the 6th, 2015, go look it up. I mean, read the rest of it if you got to. Make sure you familiarize yourself with what they're trying to espouse, what libertarians are about. But you'll quickly recognize that they're talking about political libertarians, not genuine libertarians, not the ones that understand the philosophy of liberty. Try quoting Stefan Molyneux. Try quoting Larkin Rose or Danilo Carrillo or whatever his name. I should have a list sitting here with me when I'm doing this. There's so many people that espouse the genuine principles of liberty, but you go to choose political libertarians to rail against. Fail on your behalf. It's a Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.